Hello and welcome, or welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot, and it's time for July readings. I'm actually doing this reading on the solstice. It's the summer solstice where I'm at. I'm in Los Angeles as I record this. You might be enjoying a different solstice depending on where you live. As always, this is a general intuitive reading for a general audience. So please take the messages that resonate for you and leave the rest. I invite you to check out the chapter associated with your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. You're welcome to check out whichever video you're drawn to, of course. This month, I am using the Unfolding Path Tarot, which is my absolute favorite deck in the history of all the decks I have ever owned, which is many, many, many dozens of decks. I thoroughly recommend this deck to any tarot reader. I am also using the original rune cards. This is the Ralph Bloom or Blum version of rune cards. The first edition published back in '97. So those are the rune cards we're going with this month. And then I'm also going to be using, again, the messages from your animal spirit guides as the other oracle. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? I will catch up with you in your sign. See you there. Hello, Aries. Let's grab your rune card first. Hagalaz. Okay. And your spirit guide message, animal spirit guide. Blue heron. Oh, this is a cool one. I apologize if you hear all the beeping in my neighborhood. I'm not sure what's happening. Let's try to breathe and focus as we draw your tarot. Okay, here it is. Ooh. Page of Cups, Seven of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. Okay. So starting with your rune, Hagalaz is the rune of delay or disruption. Now, this one looks kind of gnarly, but the thing about this is it doesn't have to be as dramatic as it can kind of appear in this artwork here. The last time I got Hagalaz was right before, because I do rune pulls for myself weekly, right? And sometimes more often than that. And the last time I got this rune was right before I posted the last monthly Tarotscopes. And the thing is, when I post the monthly Tarotscopes, I essentially lose internet access for a day because it takes so much of my literal internet bandwidth for these Tarotscope, for the Tarotscope video to get posted, that it eats up all my bandwidth for almost a full day. So that is the disruption that I experienced the last time I got this rune. It's a regular part of my sort of monthly cycle to experience an internet disruption like that. So that could be the kind of a similar sort of disruption that you experience. We are heading into a Mercury retrograde. We're in the Mercury shadow right now as I record this. And for essentially all of July, for all intents and purposes, we are heading into this Mercury retrograde. And that does tend to affect computers, internet. It can affect travel, but it can also affect things like your plumbing, other transport, especially public transport. So this is just a little heads up to allow for extra time when you're doing things like traveling, when you're dealing with your own car, or when you're dealing with any big project that you need your internet or your computer for. Be sure to back everything up. Be sure you're saving everything multiple times as you're working on important projects. Be sure you're not hitting reply all when you're, emailing people. It's that kind of a energy here. But it doesn't necessarily have to mean you're going to, sometimes the artwork on this particular rune card in other rune decks looks like, you lose your house in a tornado or something. It doesn't have to be that kind of a disruption, but it is a reminder that there can be delays or, sort of service disruptions. And certainly during a Mercury retrograde phase, that tends to happen, right? But it's a good heads up to just be mindful during this cycle. But this is a cool card here. The blue heron as your animal spirit oracle here. Make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right, in spite of any judgment or disapproval for others. That's, kind of how you live your life anyway, right, Aries? I mean, this is just, you do you, boo-boo, right? So as if you needed a permission slip, here's further, support or validation. If you're working on a project or if you're thinking about starting a new entrepreneurial endeavor or something like that, this is further validation to just do you. Now, what's interesting over here is your sort of main theme for July is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant can be interpreted a couple of different ways. This is knowledge in its essence. This can be an expert. So certainly if you experience any issues with a disruption of service, whether it's your car or computer or anything like that, there is the message here to seek an expert. It's a permission slip, as it were, to pay for upgraded service, or it might be time. Even though we don't traditionally want to buy a new computer or buy a new car when Mercury is retrograde, just willy-nilly, if you have a computer issue that leaves you without, a computer, just for one example, this might be time to seek a professional, get some advice, and invest in something, in some kind of an upgrade. So that's one way to interpret the Hierophant, is like seeking an expert, getting an upgrade, up-leveling in your knowledge, in your tools, that sort of thing. Another way to understand the Hierophant, take it as it applies in your situation, is going back to school, getting more education, being a seeker. This can be traditional school, like getting your license, finishing off a college degree, getting your GED, something like that. Or it can be a less traditional degree, like if you always wanted to take a flamenco class, or get your Reiki certification, something like that. So that could be what July looks like for you, some sort of education. But another way the Hierophant can show up is becoming the teacher yourself. It might be time for you to share your knowledge, your wisdom in a more formal way. So whether you start your own YouTube channel, or maybe apply to teach a class at an adult school, like an adult community school. It can be time for you to share your wisdom. So take that as it applies to you. But there's definitely, the concept of knowledge, expertise, either learning or sharing wisdom is kind of the theme with the Hierophant here. Now, we love seeing the Page of Cups. This is a card that indicates messages coming through for you with an invitation. Often this is around somebody wanting to share or spend time with you. It could be romantic, it could be platonic, it could be like a friend thing, it could be an artistic collaboration. It's an invitation of some kind. Somebody wants to get to know you better or pick your brain in terms of artistic talents, or maybe they want to reminisce about the old days. I recently got together with some high school friends who I haven't seen for a couple decades. Could be something along those lines. But certainly for single folks, this is a great omen if you're on the dating apps. Those invitations could come through. Winks, nudges, swipes, however that works. But it's people wanting to get together with you. So take it as it applies in your world. Now, the Seven of Pentacles indicates that something is growing in your world. So whether it's sort of an entrepreneurial endeavor or a special project, it could even apply to something like an artistic collaboration. You've planted seeds somewhere and they are growing. The time is not yet ripe for that full harvest, but you're starting to see where things are taking shape, where you maybe need to nurture a little bit more, where things need a little bit more time or attention. But the harvest is maybe a month or two out, and you still need to do a little bit more work, but you can see where your efforts are, taking shape, and where those seeds are really starting to grow. Finally, we have the King of Pentacles here, and for me, this is kind of like a boss card. Even if you're not gainfully employed or out of sort of the 9 to 5 phase of your life. And this could be someone like a banker, a financial advisor with some advice for you. But typically this character would be someone who has a tip, a job offer, financial advice, something along those lines. If not a straight up job offer or a promotion, advice, a connection, like a connection in a field you want to be in, or an artistic connection in an area that you want to move into, something along those lines, like an agent that can connect you with somebody or a group that you might want to work with. Take it as it applies for you. But this would be someone who has a tip or a promotion or a job or a connection that is helpful or useful to you. So all in all, you have a really sort of balanced but up-leveling sort of July, which is interesting because a lot of us might take a little break in July. But for you, it looks like you're still working, you've still got plans, you've still got seeds you're nurturing, and tips and connections. This seems more personal, artistic. This is kind of more financial business. Just be mindful of, making sure you pad in extra time and, you're backing up all your systems that need backups. But as always, you do you, boo-boo. So there you have it, Aries. I hope that is helpful. If so, I hope you'll consider liking, sharing, subscribing. In any case, until next time, take good care. Bye for now. Hello, Taurus. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, nice one. It's a willow. Okay, and your message from your animal spirit guide. Falcon. Ooh, that's very similar. Okay, in your tarot. Ooh, Six of Wands, Strength, Page of Cups, and Hierophant. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So Willow, your rune, is a victory rune. It is, and it's also very much a solstice rune. Now, not all of you, or you might not be in the Northern Hemisphere with me, but it's summer solstice here where I am doing this reading. So we're in the longest day of the year as I do this rune, or as I do this reading. And so this is very much associated with this moment right now as I'm doing this reading. And so Willow is the sun rune, which is all about victory, accomplishment, achievement in one sense, but it's also about having a clear vision, sort of being above your whole life, being able to see the big picture, right? Because the sun is above us, and so being able to see like the life map, being able to see the map of your life and know which way you're going next. So once you hit that victory, or feeling that sense of victory, kind of knowing where to go next, you may even be ready to take a rest, or you may be experiencing a summer break. You may take a trip to a sunny location. Some of you, sometimes that's what the sun rune means. So take it as it makes sense in your world. But for the most part, this is a very positive rune, that if it doesn't mean an immediate achievement, it can give you a sense of a moment to experience a clear vision for direction and where to go next. And the falcon can be related. It's also a bird, right, that can fly and, sort of above and give you the big picture of your life. And with that, you get to see a chance or an opportunity. So the falcon recommends that you take a chance on an opportunity, and commit to an opportunity. It can see an opportunity and recommends that the way that they fly, the way that they spot an opportunity, they need to act on it, right? They need to strike right away. So that's what Falcon is recommending, that when you see that opportunity, you strike right away. Now, your theme here for July is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is all about knowledge, and that can show up a couple of different ways. That can show up as gaining more education, like going back to school, getting your GED, going back to college, changing majors, getting a license in a program that, furthering a particular line of study, getting a PhD, something like that. Or it can be sharing your expertise, maybe in a non-traditional way, like if you're, say, a tarot card reader, maybe it's time for you to start your own YouTube channel, or maybe it's time for you to teach writing at the local adult communities school, something like that. Take it as it resonates for you. Maybe it's traditional schooling, maybe it's non-traditional schooling, but there's this sense of education, knowledge, whether you're taking it in or whether you're sharing. And of course, one thing I've always noticed, like when I used to teach tarot, is that just the sort of formulation of my lesson plans always helps solidify for me my own sort of philosophies and my own knowledge. So you gain wisdom, or you sort of solidify your own wisdom as you teach. So there's that. Building that community and finding a community is also associated with a Hierophant. So whether you're teaching or you're going back to school, you're associating with a community of like-minded folks. So with gaining knowledge or sharing your knowledge, you're gaining community as well. So there's that piece. Now, the sort of surrounding cards here are so very positive. This is an incredibly positive reading, Taurus. We have the Six of Wands, which is another victory card, very much like the Sun rune. It's very much about victory, standing out for acknowledgement. There's a part about the Six of Wands that is not only achievement, like achieving a goal, but also the acknowledgement, the validation you receive from others here. So there's some piece where you receive an achievement, like you achieve something, a goal, and receive recognition for what you have achieved. Then we have strength here. Now, strength is interesting because there is a piece about strength that calls on you to stand up for yourself with grace. So it's like being a Karen, but not being a jerk about it. This is how I always think about this card, right? Because sometimes Karens almost have a point. Like sometimes it can be really important to stand up for yourself, or stand up for your kid, or stand up for your community. But sometimes it's just about the tone, right? So that's what the strength card is all about. It's being able to voice your opinion, voice an important point of view, but with grace, and having the grace to stand up for yourself, or stand up for your community, or maybe a family member, something like that. Having the strength to speak your truth, right? But with grace, and for your message to land. How about that? Okay. And then finally, we love the Page of Cups. Let's get that guy in focus. So this is an invitation. The Page of Cups is somebody who, it doesn't necessarily have to be this cute guy. It can be an artistic collaborator. It can be somebody who winks or nudges or swipes on a dating app. It can be a job interview comes through. Depending on what you need where you're at in your life. It's going to be different for different Taurians, right? It could even be that educational program that you get accepted to. It really depends on, what makes sense in your world. With Taurus, this is, like I've said, this is an exceedingly positive reading. It looks like there's a literal achievement with validation, and we have this echoed in a couple of cards here. And maybe you're teaching, or maybe you're going back to school, or there's some sort of moment of, not moment, but a theme of knowledge, education, expertise here. You also have a chapter that is devoted to speaking up for yourself or for your family or for your community. We have invitations coming in of people who are impressed with you and want to work with you, spend time with you, get to know you better, and that could work in a number of different contexts. But there is at least one opportunity, if not more, opportunities coming in that you will want to act on. So you'll have an active month, even if you want to take a moment or take a break in the sun. There are opportunities coming in for you in July. So, Taurus, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been helpful. If so, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. In any case, do take good care. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Gemini. Let's grab your rune card first. Ooh, nice one. So this is Ing or Ingus. Okay. And your message from your animal spirit guide. Oh, that's a cool one. Zebra. I like how these colors are coordinated too in these two cards. All right, let's focus on your tarot. Okay, Gemini. Seven of Wands, Ten of Wands, the Star, and the King of Pentacles. Okay. Okay, so your rune is Ing or Ingus or Ingwas, depending on who's keeping score. Now, I am using the Ralph Blum cards, and he calls this one fertility. This can also be interpreted as potential. In my experience, though, this is also interpreted as, let's see, I always struggle with this. It's the that rush of physical pleasure. How about that? I don't want to offend anyone, but it's like that very intimate physical pleasure, right? And so that's why he's associating it with fertility. That's what can come after the physical pleasure, right? So another way to think of it is that release. How about that release after physical pleasure? So think of that sort of moment. that's what this rune is kind of about. That release, that feeling of freedom, or that release of tension, is what this moment is about. It's kind of a healing moment, or a healing rune too, because you're releasing tension. There's a sense of freedom too, from tension, from being boxed in. There's an association with conclusion, or reaching an ending too, right? So let's park that one there for a moment. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily what's being, that physical act is what's being interpreted, or how should I say? That's a metaphor for you. That feeling of a release of tension is what is the feeling or the theme for you. Being released from tension, reaching a conclusion, reaching an end of something that maybe had been complicated. How about that? And with your animal oracle card, we have let go of your fear and know that you are safe and protected at all times. So there again, we have another releasing tension. Let go of, that kind of tense feeling, or that fear, or that hesitation. We have in your tarot a really interesting theme card in relation to these other cards. Now, the King of Pentacles can be can be a conservative guy, but he has reached sort of the top of the mountain, and he doesn't have to be a he in your real world. But this is a character who is very successful. And when this character shows up for us, it can indicate someone who has a job offer, financial advice, or even financial commission to offer us. It could indicate an inheritance, a connection. Someone could be offering us a collaboration, or a connection to a collaborator, something like that. So there's a theme for you in July of letting go of worry, fear, concern, because there's an answer, there's a job offer, there's an offer of money, or a connection comes in that relieves this tension. Now, we have over here a 7 of Wands, which for me is an interview or an audition card. So this can be the interview that leads to the job offer, or the interview following the connection, something along those lines. So especially for those of you who are looking for a job, it could be something along those lines. It doesn't have to be a job interview. This can also be some other way in which you're showing your stuff, right? So it could be a first date. In some way, the 7 of Wands is you showing who you are, the essence of you, showing your talents or your skills, or proving yourself. And the 7 of Wands indicates confidence. It indicates you on your best day showing up in whatever context this is, whether it's a job interview or first date, or, showing your art exhibit, your portfolio, whatever this makes sense for you. And being successful. You're prepared, you have the skills, you have the talent, and you're successful. Now, the 10 of Wands is interesting because it's both an ending and a beginning. The artwork on this card looks tough, right? But it's like the harvest. At the end of a harvest cycle, the farmer doesn't just get to experience the crops and the money from the crops. There's actually a lot of hard work that goes into bringing the crops in from the fields and sort of separating the crops from the chaff or the stalks or whatever, and then packaging them and then bringing them to market, and then they have to prepare the fields, get all of the extra detritus out of the fields and pay the extra farm hands. And there's a lot that happens at the end of a farming cycle that isn't just about immediately enjoying the rewards. There's a lot of work to it, to sort of close out the cycle, bring the crop to market, and prepare the fields for either being fallow or for, the next planting season. So that's kind of what the 10 of Wands is suggesting, that you have completed something or you're completing something while you're preparing for the next cycle. Now, I don't know if I have many actual farmers watching my channel, but this could be something like a teacher who has just finished out their grades and is cleaning out their classroom, putting away all their bits and bobs from their classroom, packing it away and getting ready to go on summer vacation or something like that. Or it could be somebody who is packing up a house and cleaning their house while they're also getting ready to move into a new house, kind of a thing. So it suggests or could be somebody who has just had a closing night, but then has to pack up all the costumes, tear down all the sets, and recycle. You get what I'm saying. So there's a number of contexts in which that can also play out. Take it as it makes sense in your world, Gemini. But an ending and a beginning is happening simultaneously, and it's a lot of work, but you have victoriously completed something that was meaningful to you, but you also have to clean out or clean up or close down something while you begin something new, right? And we have the start of a healing phase. This is a beautiful way to, let's get her in focus. This is a beautiful way to close out July. It is a healing phase. The star is a very hopeful, helpful card. It is a time of reflection, meditation, a space where you get to enjoy a bit of clarity, when you get to feel renewed. Maybe you take a little break, maybe you get a spa day or a vacation or something like this, but a little space to get clarity on which way you're going. There's the sense with the star that you get an idea or an epiphany or clarity on what's next. And it's just because you get this, healing time. Now, there can also be an association for some folks. Take it as it resonates. It might not apply to everybody, but for some folks, there can be a literal sense of stardom. So for some of you who may be in the public eye, there could be a video that goes viral, or if you're a performer and it makes sense that, something you do, hits in a public way, there could be something along those lines. So take it if it makes sense for you. But for most folks, this might just be a healing moment that allows you to refresh, renew, and get more clarity on what's coming next. It clears, you're clear of this, ending cycle, and you're refreshed and renewed and the direction that you're heading next is clear and the path is open and sort of blessed. And once we're out of sort of the Mercury retrograde sort of bumps and delays, you'll be able to take a really direct path towards that next thing. So, Gemini, I am going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been encouraging. If so, I invite you to like, share, subscribe. In any case, please take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Cancer. Let's grab your rune card. Ooh, nice. Ansus. Okay, and your message from your animal spirit guide. Snow leopard. Love it. Okay, and your tarot. Cancer, here we go. Ooh, Two of Cups, Temperance, Five of Wands, rather, and the Page of Wands. Okay, this is super cool. So Ansus is signals, messages. This can be in a couple of ways. You could be getting this like literal messages from friends, from business contacts. This can be good news coming in. I got this the last time I pulled this, I heard from a high school friend I hadn't heard from in a few decades. So it's usually news that is unusual, surprising, good, amazing, exciting, wonderful. It could also be like a mystical download, a spiritual download, working with a spirit guide, or even, if it makes sense for you, a loved one on the other side. So take it as it resonates for you, but it's usually an important or an exciting message coming through. Again, it could be friend, family, loved one. It could be a business contact if you're waiting for like a job, news about a job, or news about a piece of property, or, you know, if you're waiting for something like that. But we're not talking about just normal like business work emails, everyday stuff. This is unusual stuff, unusual messages breaking through. Okay. Now, snow leopard is, the message here is about taking some time for yourself. It says take time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude. So this is self-care. Even if you're kind of a social butterfly, do make time for just a little self-care, whatever that looks like for you. If it's taking a little stroll through nature, a spa day, you know, whatever, you know, a little solitude, self-care looks like for you, reading a book, journaling, whatever. That's a little message for you. Okay, getting on to the tarot. Cancer, again, we have another message card here. This is very similar to the rune. The Page of Wands is an exciting, or I don't want to say fiery because that sounds kind of scary, but it's a message that you want to hear, that is associated with something that you may have planted a seed about. It might be associated with something artistic that you've been working on, or something associated with your brand or your, I think I already said creative projects, but something like, oh, or it could be something athletic, like if you auditioned for a dance team or an athletic team, it could be news about that. It could also be about dating apps, because if you're single and looking, we have that supported over here as well. Take that if it applies in your situation. Obviously, not everybody is single and looking, but it could be along those lines as well. But typically, the wands are associated with our passion projects or something that sort of our ego is attached to, not ego in the bad way, but ego in like our legacy or a project, or where we spend a lot of our sort of blood, sweat, and tears, something we want to be known for. So something along those lines. It can also be athleticism. It's our creative drive, our ambition, that sort of thing. So July is kind of about news and communications and efforts with regard to that passion project or that theme. Now, the other cards are exciting. So we have the Two of Cups, which obviously, I mean, it can often be about romantic relationships, but it doesn't have to be about romantic relationships. The Two of Cups is about bonding. So it can also be about connecting with artistic collaborators or business collaborators or anyone you want to have a good connection with. That can be a business colleague, that can be a coworker, that can be a good friend, but it's basically about someone you can have a connection with, that you can be your true self with, and someone who also feels safe and their true self with you. So that's going to be a focus in July for you. It may be associated with this passion project or whatever this is. You could be, as I mentioned, it could be a dating thing, but it could also be an artistic collaboration or an entrepreneurial endeavor. It could be something like starting up an improv team. Take it as it makes sense in your world. We also have Temperance, which is another card about balance and connection. Ooh, let's get that in focus. Hello. Why doesn't this want to focus? There we go. Temperance is another card about balance and connecting with thoughtfulness. This is very much about making sure that you're spending your energy sort of in the right place, in the right amounts. Temperance can be about sort of bringing the right elements of your life together. It can sometimes be about bringing different folks together or different parts of your life together in an artful way. But there is a little bit of a heads up over here with the Five of Wands. Now, the Five of Wands can indicate a bit of friction or competition with other parts of your life. So this can look, this can pan out a couple of different ways. This can be other people being jealous to compete for your time, or this can be opportunities, projects, work schedules, etc., kind of competing for your time. So take this as it applies for you. Sometimes it's other folks that, are competing for time, attention, opinions, having a say in what you do or what you're choosing to give your attention to, or what you're choosing to study or work, or, dress, how you dress, or, sometimes it can be this sort of thing where like your mom and your bridesmaids want to pick your colors or the entrees, or, everybody wants to say in how the wedding goes, and that sort of thing. It could be the sort of thing where the family has too much say in what you want to do with your life. It could be the sort of thing where at the office there isn't a strong leader and there's too much chaos within the coworkers who all have an opinion but nobody's really pulling their weight. It could be that sort of a situation. So you may have to become more of a leader in a situation where there's a little bit of drama with some strong ego flare-ups. Or it could be the kind of situation where you just have so many fun things that you want to do, or so many interests that, you're struggling to manage your calendar. That's happened to me in my life. Both of those kind of scenarios have happened to me in my life. And in either case, you have to become more of a manager of your own life in order to work through this Five of Wands moment. The ultimate advice, the strongest card we have here on the whole table is the Temperance card, which is about beautiful balance. And it isn't about being a jerk or a shrew. It's about being comfortably balanced. She knows, and I'm just using she out of habit, no matter your gender, this character knows what goes where. She's artful, and everything has a time and a place, right? So she doesn't feel bad about leaving a party when she needs to leave a party, or saying no, or saying yes. Sometimes you have to say no, or thank you, but not now, or not yet. So feel free to engage in some of those phrases as needed. All right, I'm going to leave it there. But it looks like a very exciting month for you, Cancer. Some exciting messages, exciting connections, and you just get to be the balanced boss of it all. And don't forget to take some time out for yourself. There you have it. I hope this has been helpful. If so, I invite you to like, share, subscribe. In any case, please take good care. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Leo. Let's grab your rune card. Ooh, Rado. Okay, and your message from your animal spirit guide. Weasel. Okay. And your tarot. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. So we have the Ten of Wands, Death, the Knight of Wands, and the Tower. Okay. So a little bit of change, Leo. Are you ready? Yeah. So Rado is also about change or journey. This one is like the cart card, or the Journey card. There is the idea of going on a journey. It's often associated with business or commerce, or going on a journey for commerce, like taking your wares to the next town for commerce. So it is associated with career ideas. So there might be a change around your career if you had been thinking about making a change career-wise, leaving your job or looking at other options, or asking for a promotion, or that kind of a thing. There might be messages around your career. There's also the idea around this rune to take control, to because the original Rado, it's a cart. It's like a, taking the journey is on a cart and taking your wares on a cart. So it's like driving the cart. So there's the idea of taking control, of being the driver of the cart. So if you want something different from your career, or if you want something different from the path that you're on, it's up to you to start making changes. And if you do take the initiative, or if you do, those changes or those initiatives are blessed or supported, or validated, supported under when this card comes up, or this rune comes up. Now, looking at your message from your animal spirit guide, Weasel, be silent, pay attention, and simply observe with your eyes, ears, and physical feelings what is happening inside and all around you. So this card is suggesting observation. There's kind of a stealth element to Weasel, right? That's what we associate with Weasel, that they can get in and get out because they're observing, because they're paying attention. So there is maybe an element of right timing and right action associated, as well as this take initiative, go for it kind of piece. Now, let's address this elephant in the room, the Tower card. I actually really love the Tower card because I'm a person, like, I like comfort. I'm kind of, I'm not I don't make big, bold moves or anything, but I am down with change when change is warranted. And we're seeing change cards in your reading. So it's suggesting change is warranted here. And the Tower card can be a breakthrough. It doesn't have to be a breakdown. It can be a breakthrough. So if you are paying attention, if you're observing, you can get the change you need in this moment, the change you're looking for. You can be in control of this change. You don't want the cart, to just dart off into some unknown direction. You can have a breakthrough. So let's count on this Tower being your breakthrough moment. Another way I think of the Tower, because we think of the Tower so often as associated with like castles and princesses and knights in shining armor, right? And the other thing about towers is like there's so many like fables about princesses locked up in towers. And so I always think of this as like, this is her escape. Like the tower has to be knocked down for this princess to get out. This is her escape from this tower. Like this, she was probably praying for this lightning bolt, right? So she could get out of this tower and actually have a life. Another way I think of towers is like, you know how knights are in shining armor, and how clippity-clumpity they are. I kind of feel bad for knights. It might protect them, but like they can't do yoga. They can't hula hoop. There's so much there's so much fun stuff knights can't do in their armor. And I think of towers like that armor. If you're locked up in a tower, you know, it might keep you safe to be locked up in a tower, but then there's this whole range of life that you can't have when you're locked up in a tower. So, you know, it's a way to have a life, to be let free, to go out and now have a yoga class or hula hoop or flamenco or whatever. It's taking that armor off. Does that make any sense, or am I just babbling at this point? Let's move on. I think you get what I'm saying. So even though this art is really dramatic, I feel like this is a breakthrough, not a breakdown, right? It's another thing with this 10 of Wands. This artwork looks challenging, but the thing about the 10 of Wands is like, it's an ending and a beginning that's happening simultaneously. That can be tough work. Another sign got this. I can't remember who just got this, and I belabored this point as well. It's like at the end of a farming season, when you don't just get to take in your crops, you have to separate. Like when you're taking corn in, I grew up in Minnesota where there's a lot of corn. When you're taking the corn in, you don't just take the corn in and yay, now you have corn and the farming season is over. You have to take in the corn, you have to separate the corn away from the stalks, you have to clear the rest of the stalks away from the field while also bringing the corn, separating the corn from the stalks, and you have to bring the corn to the market, and you have a bunch of different markets you go to. You process some for the supermarket, you process some for the local farmers market, you have some like kind of by your farm where you sell to your neighbors. You also have to like prepare the soil for the next growing cycle. Sometimes you prepare the soil for it to be fallow because you can't farm soil every year. Sometimes you prepare it for the next cycle if it's okay to farm it the next year. You also have to, pay off your farm hands, and you have to clean your farming equipment and put it into storage for the next season. You know, there's all this stuff you have to do at the end of the farming cycle that has nothing to do with enjoying delicious corn, right? So that's the end of and the beginning of the next season. It can also happen, like not everybody who watches my channel is a farmer, right? This could also be the end of a play cycle, where closing night of a play, you don't just get to take your accolades and go home. You have to strike the sets and put the costumes, not just put the costumes away, but you've got to bring the costumes to the dry cleaners, and you've got to clear all your makeup away from your makeup counter, and put all of the programs, bundle up all the programs and recycle those. And there's just like a whole thing you have to do at the end. Clear out the lighting booth, take down all the lights, blah, blah, blah. So you get my point. Like when something that is a success is over, you still have like this whole cleaning phase before the next thing is done. So Leo, there's something that has, a cycle that has ended in your life that you're ready to be over, that you're ready to let go, that you're still sort of cleaning out before you can welcome in the next thing. So you're in a kind of a liminal moment. These cards are saying you're ready for the the next thing in your life. You're ready to move on to the next thing. You're ready to break out of something that maybe no longer fits, that no longer serves, that maybe kept you bound. But you're still kind of clearing out this last cycle. But you're ready for transformation, like the butterfly, right? Or the caterpillar that's ready to become the butterfly, that's ready to change into the next form, that's ready to fly. I recently attended a graduation thing where the head of school noted that, you know, change always feels like death. So that's why the tarot card death can be so spooky, you know, but it's really just talking about change. We can fear change sometimes, even when we yearn for it, or even when we're ready for it, or even when like our bodies are saying it's time. Like, you may physically be going through a change. You may be going through a medical situation, a health situation. You could be going through pregnancy or menopause or something. It could be a physical thing like that. That feels like is such a tremendous change. A phase of your life is ending. It could be a graduation. It could be leaving a job. It could be leaving a marriage or getting married, something like that. And singlehood is ending, and it feels like a little bit like a death. But whatever it is, there's a phase of your life that is clearly ending, and it's ready to leave your life. You are ready for some new adventures here. The Knight of Wands suggests there's a whole new phase that is ready to begin. There are messages that are coming in, especially towards the end of the month, when you will be ready to accept them. The Knight of Wands is a messenger that brings news that you have to act on. You will have to make a decision, and you will have to take action. And this is typically in the arena of your passion projects or your career ambitions, your greatest sort of loves, something that you have an ego attachment to, not like the bad ego, but the good ego, right? You're something that you want to have a legacy attachment to. This could be athletic. For those of you who do dance or do competitive athletics, it could be something along those lines. But for artistic types like actors, musicians, writers, it could be something in that field. You could get good news, or you could get a request to collaborate, something along those lines. But it is something you're going to have to act on, or collaborate, a request to collaborate, something along those lines. A job invitation, an audition, something along those lines. And boy, are you ready. This may be where that cart is heading. It might be such a big request, or such an exciting request, that it feels like that's where the tower bursts. This is a big change. By the end of the summer, I think your life is going to look very different. But just keep and be ready to adapt. Be ready to move. Your eyes because a change is coming. Open. So Leo, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this has been helpful. If so, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. In any case, please take good care. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Virgo. Let's grab your rune. Oh, cool. Okay, Tiwas. Okay, and let's grab a message from your animal spirit guide. Humpback whale. Oh, that's cool. All right, and your tarot. Nine of Cups, Temperance, Two of Swords, and Ten of Cups. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so the Warrior rune, Tiwaz, is very much about doing the right thing for the right reason. It can be about courage. It can be about justice. So there can be, for some folks, there can be an element of, dealing with the law or dealing with military folks. It can be about, court cases or mediation, something like that. There can be an element of sacrifice. So sometimes it's, when it comes to like mediation, you have to give up a little something to get something, in that kind of way. That happens a lot in court cases, right? Where you have to like agree to certain things maybe you wouldn't want to do in terms of like child support or, sharing visitation with an ex-partner, something like that. But you do it for the good of the kids, making agreements for the good of the kids, right? That kind of idea is often associated with Tiwaz. But there's also the element about, being a straight arrow, doing the right thing for the right reason. So upholding the law, being truthful, being a good person, being upstanding, being forthright, those themes are associated with this particular card. Now, over here, we have a really interesting message. Music is essential to your healing and well-being, whether singing, playing an instrument, or listening. So making time for music in your life, that is the message we're getting from your Animal Spirit Oracle. So I love that. Moving on to your tarot, we have the Ten of Cups, which is, tens are always endings and beginnings. So there can tend to be the end of one phase or chapter and while another one starts. So this can be something like, and cups are the realm of friends, family, your connections, your bonds, feeling satisfied in your emotional connections. So this can be something like a family reunion, somebody's getting married, some sort of gathering. This could even be like a graduation, celebration, something like that. An adoption, adding someone to your family, a birth, a wedding. Did I say that already? But it has the element of something, a new chapter starting within the old, kind of old guard. So you may be aware that you have really special bonds while you're starting to make new bonds. This can also be the kind of thing where you might leave one safe environment to start another kind of new connection bond. So it could be the sort of thing where, like, for some of you, you may be graduating high school or college, and you might be really aware that you're leaving one friend group while you're moving to another friend group or making new connections like that. Or you could be transferring departments at work. Or I went to improv school, and every so often I would kind of leave one sort of improv pod and join sort of a new level and, work with new comedians. So, you know, you have kind of one group of folks that you work with and you make connections with, and then get to make a new sort of group of associations. So it could be, you take it as it resonates for you, Virgo. That's the kind of vibe that July holds for you. Being aware of one group of associations, but starting to make another group. Or it's the sort of thing where maybe you adopt, you know, so you have your friends and family around you while you get to make this new human soul part of your, you know, whole tribe, right? So it's something magical like that. Take it as it makes sense for you. We see one of the sort of clarifying or associated cards here is the Nine of Cups, which is a wish fulfillment or a sort of a connection fulfillment card. You can tell in the art here, this is someone who feels very connected and very aligned in their world, right? Traditionally, this was known as the wish fulfillment card, but like I have never ever like won the lottery when this card comes up, right? It's just not that way. But when this card comes up, it's usually like a kind of a green light from the universe card where you feel connected, aligned, aware of the things that are working in your life. Like maybe you're really aware you have a good friend group at work or at school, and maybe you're really aware that, or maybe you just get to retire. Maybe it's time for retirement, and you're looking forward to spending more time with your grandkids, and it just feels like a great time. Whatever it is, you know, even if you don't get to be a millionaire or whatever it is, you know, it's a moment or a phase or a month where you get to just really feel your blessings and feel connected. Again, the cups are the suit of connections. So there's this awareness of feeling connected and feeling kind of aware of your blessings. Okay. And then we have Temperance, which is a major arcana card. And major arcana cards always remind us of a chapter heading in our lives. So this is kind of a moment where or not a moment, but like a new sort of direction or chapter lesson that we're working on. And temperance is all about balance, finding that work-play balance, or finding time to work on, say, the great American novel while we're still, you know, working the 9 to 5, just as one example. Or making more time for whatever other passion project, or making more time for the garden while we're still balancing home life and work life, or whatever makes sense for you. This is ultimately creating more healthy balance in your life. It's really about living life more healthy by thoughtfully creating balance. And not just like, it's not just going with the flow, it's creating the balance in your life. And you'll see, just as we talked about the 10 or the suit of cups being about our connections in life, we see the cups here in the Temperance card. It really is about balancing our connections with our other obligations in our life. That's ultimately at the heart of everything that we do. Making time for, the people and the connections that are important, and balancing that with, career aspirations, or, how we make money, and artistic or athletic pursuits, or whatever it is. Now, it's interesting that we land on the Two of Swords, which can be all about decisions, choices, feeling torn between a couple of different paths or options, maybe people. Sometimes this comes up for romantic options. Sometimes it can be about job options or property, something like that. Maybe schools, career options. But usually the concern is, should I go this way or that way? When there might be a third option or another possibility that isn't being considered when the Two of Swords comes up. Often there isn't enough information to make the final decision, or you're only thinking with your head and you haven't really let your heart vote. So go ahead and ask more questions, whether it's romantic or career or whatever the situation is. Get more data, ask more questions, get more information, explore more options. Don't make a decision until you have enough information, until your heart feels in line with your head about what the options are, because there's probably another alternative, a third option that is the more in-line option for you. So yeah, it looks a lot like doing the right thing for the right reason, making a choice when you have enough information, making time for music, and connecting with family, being balanced is not just about July, is not just the plan for July, but moving forward, being consciously balanced, moving forward indefinitely. So Virgo, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been helpful. If so, please consider liking and sharing this video. Subscribe, it's free if you haven't already done so. In any case, please take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Libra. Let's grab your rune. Okay. Awas. And the message from your animal spirit oracle. Seagull. Okay. And your tarot. Four of Wands, Page of Wands, Page of Swords, and the Ten of Pentacles. Wow, awesome. Okay. So Awas, Richard Blum, whose rune deck I'm using here, describes this one as movement. But, and that's one way of interpreting this rune, but it's really about progress through partnership. This is kind of about the movement that comes when you have a team or a partner that you trust, that kind of trust that comes when you don't even have to really speak or communicate. You've worked with someone, you've built trust, you've spent so much time, you know their moves, they know yours, you trust them, you work well together, And it's kind of like an improv team or a team in the kitchen that you work, you know how they move, you know how they work. And when you've got a really good team behind you, or you've got a really good collaborator, a good partner, you just, you can win awards, right? You can make progress because of that unspoken chemistry. Chemistry might also be another way of thinking about this, progress through chemistry. So however you kind of want to think about it, that's what this rune is about. It's progress, it's advancement, it's movement, right? But it's because of the support you have behind you, and or the support with you. It's also having a good team, being able to trust your team or your partner. The animal spirit oracle we have here is now is the time for deep emotional healing. So whatever you need to do in order to do some healing, do some inner work, if you need to take a spa day, listen to music, take a stroll through nature, maybe take a vacation, visit friends, whatever you do to heal, the sequel gives you a permission slip to do that. But getting into your tarot, it's super interesting that your major theme really kind of coincides with this trust and progress through teamwork piece, because although tens are like endings and beginnings, or new beginnings that come from a positive or a successful conclusion, there is this component of family or inheritance or legacy that comes with it, so that if there's a strong foundation of family, you can build on like the next chapter from that. Now, not all of us are blessed with a family that gives us a good send-off. Some of us have a chosen family, like some of us maybe had a family we could rely on that paid for college, and or give us the family restaurant that we built our career on. But some of us couldn't rely on our family, and maybe had a mentor in school, or a coach, or someone that became more like a father figure that taught us or gave us those life lessons that we could build our sort of next chapter on. But wherever you found your sort of foundation, or your family, maybe it's your friends or your colleagues at work or your improv buddies or whatever it is, this card suggests there's sort of a new beginning that's starting from a strong foundation where you've already experienced some success. So maybe this is the month where you finally get that promotion, or where you become a manager or a leader, or get to take your improv team to the next level. Take it as it resonates for you, Libra. And maybe your parents finally do give you the key to the restaurant, or whatever it is. But there's sort of an advancement that comes from a foundation that takes you to the next level, and you get to start your next chapter. And there's a sense of legacy here, or building your name, or the next chapter that is about creating your own legacy, or advancing your legacy, your sort of namesake, as it were. Maybe it's about building your family, having a child or something like that. That's, that counts. Take it as it resonates for you. Now, the supporting cards are really interesting and exciting. We have the Four of Wands, which often speaks to an achievement. It could be something like graduation, or an opening night of a play, or the launch of a business. something like that. There's usually an achievement attached to it, something that you've done, a passion project, something that you feel very proud of. It could be it could even be something like joining a sporting, like a competitive sports team or competitive dance team or something, but something you get to celebrate with friends, family, loved ones. And from there, you get to advance, grow. You get the idea. Now, the next card we have here is the Page of Wands, which is typically an announcement, an invitation. News comes in. You are asked to maybe audition or interview or collaborate. Again, it could be in relationship to this graduation or this achievement, in response to it. It could be something totally different, but it is something you'd be excited about, something in line with something you've put blood, sweat, tears into like your degree or your dance training, or take it as it resonates with you, but something you've trained for or worked hard towards, and something you would be excited to be associated with. And here again we have another page, the Page of Swords, which is often another invitation or inquiry about your services or your brand. This one might come through social media. You could have a video or something you post that goes viral, or it could just be a phase where you launch your first TikTok channel, or you get interested in getting better at using social media and how to brand maybe the family restaurant in a new way or something along those lines. This has to do with your philosophy, your branding, your ideas, how you communicate. Swords are about our ideas and branding and messaging, while wands are about our passion, our sort of our ego, their positive, healthy ego, right? Our pentacles tend to be about money and foundations and family and security, that sort of thing. So Libra, this is a very progress-filled month for a July. We do see movement. It is connected with other people and your capacity to connect with and be supported by a really good team or partner. And we have the ending of sort of one phase or cycle in your life. Maybe it's school or education or one job, and you're moving on to the sort of next phase. And there's excitement about sort of the next chapter. People want to work with you. People want to hear about the next phase. But do take time for kind of the processing of that transition. So I'm going to leave it there for you, Libra. Congratulations. I hope this has been helpful. If so, I invite you to like, share this video, subscribe. It's free, but in any case, take good care. And until next time, bye for now. Hello, Scorpio. Let's grab your rune card. Ooh, signals. This has come up a few times today already. So with Mercury retrograde, I think getting a clear signal coming through. This is the rune Ansus, by the way. All right, let's get your message from your animal spirits. Ooh. Hawaiian owl. I don't know how to say this. I should really look this up. I've never said this correctly. So I always call this Hawaiian owl. All right, let's get your tarot. All right, Scorpio. Oh my goodness. Sun. Tower. World. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Okay. This is super powerful, Scorpio. Okay. So starting with Ansus, or signals, this is messages coming through. And as I suggested, a couple of other signs have received this. Now, this isn't just like the emails you get like regular everyday dealing with work if you have a regular job, or regular emails or texts, you know, texting your friends back and forth for plans. This is a meaningful message, a significant message, an unusual message. Something unusual, significant, big news, something out of the ordinary comes through. Now, this can be something like that job that you've been waiting for, or maybe a spiritual download that you weren't expecting or hadn't been anticipating comes through. This can also be something like the last time this came up for me, I got an out of the blue message from a high school friend I hadn't heard from in decades, and heard she was in town, and we went out for dinner and just had the best time, like we hadn't missed decades. It was amazing. But it could be something like that. This isn't just run-of-the-mill messages. This is something unusual and extraordinary coming through for you. So it could be something something positive you're hoping to hear. It could be something you hadn't expected, but it's out of the ordinary for sure. Okay? And now when we get to the Hawaiian owl, oh, I should have said this with Ansus too. Your ancestral spirit guides are offering you guidance now, so pay close attention to signs and omens coming from them. So I should have spent more time with that over here. This could also be messages from your a loved one in spirit, or a guide from the other side. So the fact that we have two messages like that, you may be receiving a spiritual download, or a download from the other side. So if you're open to that, that could be in the works from you. Now, we have another message card in your tarot, and that is the Page of Swords. Pages are always messengers, and the Swords card, the Suit of Swords, are also about ideas, philosophies, messages, how we communicate with one another. So we have a lot about messages here and how we communicate. Messages coming into you, and this is also about how you communicate to others. So the Page of Swords can be an invitation coming into you about something you have communicated to yourself. Oh my goodness. And we just, this candle here just burned out in validation. So I will not take this moment to relight that, but just please note that this just validated this message trio here. But so something that you have sent out, maybe a resume, maybe a social media post, inspires somebody else to reach out to you. Or another way this page could play out could be about you launching a new social media channel, like a YouTube channel where you share your ideas on, maybe Reiki or herbalism, or, some specialty wisdom that you have. Or it could be a good phase for you to learn more about social media and how you can use social media to your benefit, how you can brand yourself more effectively, or your product, or your business. Take it as it resonates for you. But the fact that we have so many messages here about branding, messages, signals, communication. July will be a big month for making messages, media, communication work for you. Okay? Now, when we look at the other supporting cards here, we have all these major arcana cards here. So these are big shifts happening. Oh, before I move on to that, let's also remember that Mercury is retrograde for all of July. So the fact that Mercury is retrograde can indicate that some messages get misunderstood or delayed. So do be sure to be extra clear and concise in your messaging. That could be part of what this is about. That you learn to be very concise and clear in your messaging, because Mercury retrograde can tend to cause misunderstandings, right? Or technical delays, because Mercury can cause hiccups there. Do be sure to back up everything when you're using technology as well. And don't hit the reply all button when you just mean to reply to one person. It sounds obvious, but these are the things that get missed during the Mercury retrograde. Okay, moving on. We have the brightest card in the deck, and I happen to be doing this reading on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. So here we have the sun. Now this can mean a couple of things. This can mean a summer vacation. You're certainly due one, right? But it's ultimately a victory card. It can indicate an accomplishment, a completion, or it can just indicate a simpler time when you can just take a break, slow down, enjoy the flowers, take a break, using sunscreen, enjoy the sun. Usually, though, we get it a couple-fold. It can be a completion that allows you to take a bit of a breather, a slowdown, regain, a little bit of clarity, see the big picture, and redirect. The sun sees everything, right? Because of the distance. The sun looks down over everything and has the big picture. So it reminds us that we can get clear direction. We can see the big picture when we don't have to worry so much about the minutia of the details and whatever. So take a moment, take a breather after a victory, and plot or plan out the next path. You'll feel maybe a better sense, or have gained a better sense of clarity under the influence of the sun. You'll just be able to see what's ahead more clearly. Even though we have this delightful card ahead of us, this is why we come to the tarot, right? So we can get a little heads up about this business. The Tower reminds us that there could be a little hiccup, a little bump in the road, and the Tower can be that little shake-up that can come with Mercury retrograde. There could be some kind of delay or technical difficulty or problem, issue, with public transportation or travel or technology. So be sure to leave any padding if you're doing any traveling, leave padding in your schedule. Leave a lot of room for making backups and saving your originals when dealing with technology. But ultimately, the Tower is about taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So if you have an issue with your car or with a computer, be proactive about whatever in your life needs attention. That might even be your teeth, your health. It could be leaving a job that no longer serves you or that could be toxic, leaving a living situation or a relationship. It's generally about acknowledging any area of your life that might be crumbling or ill-fitting, that wouldn't withstand the pressure of a storm. Anything that's holding you back, anything that's keeping a princess, bound up or, bricked up in a tower, right? This could actually be an escape plan for this princess, right? She may have been praying for this storm to bust her out of this tower so she can go meet a prince or another princess, whatever the case is, so she could go take a flamenco class or whatever, live a life, have a life. But whatever it is, this tower can be a breakthrough instead of a breakdown if you're willing to be a little bit more proactive, flexible, and realistic about what needs to be fixed, left behind. Take it as it resonates for you. If you do so, then you will be facing a whole new chapter. This is like the rebirth card. The World card is, a whole new chapter where you get to be the expert and the newbie at the same time. You get to be powerful and experience your chosen adventure with new eyes at the same time. It's the best of all possible worlds. Whatever that princess was pining for while she was bricked up in that tower, this is, the life she was hoping to lead, before the lightning struck, right? This is her leading her best life. I'm only using female pronouns out of habit. But, whoever you are, this is the chapter you have been hoping for. So keep an ear out for the messages, or, keep an eye on your text messages. Check every email, even the old ones, the fax machine if you've still got one. Wherever you could possibly get a message, keep an eye out, because you've got messages that are coming in and you're going to want to be available to receive them. Do be flexible for when the summer storm comes, or at least the electrical storm, because it could be potent, but it could be just the breakthrough that you need to land you in this new chapter. So Scorpio, I'm going to leave it there for you. It looks like a really exciting July. I hope you love it. If this has been helpful, I hope you'll consider liking and sharing this video. Subscribe, it's free. In any case, please take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Sagittarius. Let's grab your rune card. Ooh, cool. Kanaz. Okay, and your animal spirit message. Ooh, yeah, we just got this one. I think Scorpio got this one too. Okay, and your tarot. Ooh. Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, Sagittarius. Okay. Okay. So Kanaz is, now I'm using, let's see, it's Ralph Blum or Robert Blum. I'm using the rune cards. I think it's Ralph Blum. He calls this one opening. It's Ken, or Kanaz is the name of this rune. I know this one as initiation or inspiration, right? It's the fire of inspiration, the fire of knowledge. It's that kind of thing where you have like a new hobby that you're super stoked about and you cannot wait to learn enough about it. It's not being a total newbie, but it's that thing where you're learning about it and you're super invested in learning, or the knowledge, or when you learn more stuff about it and you have like a breakthrough or an inspiration or an epiphany that leads you to maybe like, I have to get a master's degree in this, or you make that breakthrough as you're writing your thesis, like I know what my thesis has to be about, or something like that. It's that excitement that knowledge brings you, that fires you up, that spark that you want to share with other people, that sometimes you can even feel spiritual about something, even as maybe mundane as, I don't know, economics or cellular biology or something, that you talk about it all the time. You might bore your siblings about it or something. It might be something you can't believe other people aren't into because you're so stoked about it, kind of a thing. Or maybe it's something brand new. I don't know. Take it as it resonates for you. But it's that spark of knowledge, that excitement about a subject matter, maybe a person. It could be a person too. So you could, maybe for any single people out there, this could be a good sign that you meet someone that sparks your interest. But usually, in my experience, this comes up around a new project or a new subject matter, or something like that. It could be a group of people getting to join a cool club or be a part of something cool like an improv team, or getting accepted to the school you want to go to. It could be that kind of a thing, and being able to be around like-minded people. That can be exciting in that same kind of way too. Take it as it makes sense for you, but that's the spark of wisdom, knowledge, education, being around like-minded people. It's like that. Super exciting. And then we have the Hawaiian owl. And as I told the other sign who got this, I need to look up how to say the actual name of this bird, but it's also called Hawaiian owl, so that's what I always say. But this one is about connecting with your guides, or maybe a loved one on the other side. The message says, okay, I'll read it. Your ancestral spirit guides are offering you guidance now, so pay close attention to signs and omens from them. So that's super cool. You may be, I always talk about that when my when this card comes up, I mentioned my grandma. My grandma had this very particular scent that she wore. So whenever I smell this one particular scent, like I'm always reminded of my grandma, and I always feel like a little, she always called it a love tap. She was just this, one of my nanas was my gentle nana, and she used to give like these little love taps. So when I smell this particular smell, I remember her giving these little love taps. So it could be some little thing, a scent, or that, you know, it could be like an actual fragrance or a food smell or something that reminds you of a family member, a loved one in spirit. It could be a song. It could be, you know, just anything. Take it as it resonates for you. But just remember, they might have a message. They might just want to tell you they love you. You're supported. They're looking out for you. Take it as it makes sense for you. Okay, moving on to your exciting tarot. This is super exciting. The Death card has come up today for other signs too. And it's exciting to me because just this month I went to a graduation, and the head of school mentioned that, you know, change can feel scary. Change can feel a little bit like death. Change is scary, and it can feel a little bit like death. We can often be afraid of change. You know, and he was speaking in terms of graduation and the end of a school year, going off into the unknown, being scary because change feels a little bit like a death. And it immediately reminded me, obviously, of the Death in the tarot card. Because I always go into these long spiels about, you know, caterpillars and butterflies and transformation. And sometimes the Death card is like being pregnant or graduation, or, you know, physically, you know, moving into a different phase of life. Sometimes it's, you know, a different phase because of an age, or because you're ready for a new job or a promotion, or because you need to leave a toxic relationship, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the reason why it's called death is because we often fear change, even if we're really ready, or because we have to say goodbye to one phase of life. Just like the seniors at the high school had to say goodbye to a really important, really comfortable phase of life in order to go into this uncharted territory, right? So you're about to go into some uncharted territory, and no matter how ready you are for the next phase, if you're getting married and you're excited about it, or if you need to leave a toxic job, and that's kind of scary, you know, one way or the other, it feels a little bit like death, right? But you've got some super excellent cards supporting you. So embrace this change that you are ready for. The time is right for change, Sagittarius. The next card we have here, you have, first of all, you have 3 major arcana cards, which are very significant cards signaling a shift, and they're positive cards. Ultimately, the World card is another new chapter card. This is coming through the birth canal, essentially. And you're coming through the birth canal not as a newbie, not as a baby, but with all the wisdom and the training and the talent that you have gained so far in your life, and you're ready for this new chapter. You're ready to take on this new challenge, whatever it is, whether it's a promotion or life as a married person, or, you know, whatever it is, Sagittarius, you are ready for this new chapter. And it feels like a victory. It feels like an up-leveling. Even if you are leaving a job without having the next phase planned out, you are good to go. The Six of Wands, while not a major arcana card, is a victory card. This Six of Wands suggests you have achieved something. The Six of Wands is always some sort of achievement card. Something that you have put blood, sweat, and tears into is you have not only achieved, but you are or have been or will be recognized for. So there may be a promotion in the works. There may be just, a job offer, something like that. This is a victory card. You can see he's got the victory wreath here. Someone has given him flowers. This is the card of a winner. And the suit of wands is often about our ambitions. It can be about athleticism. It can be about our creative goals or creative pursuits. But ultimately, it's about an area of our life where we have put effort into. It's associated with our ego, like our healthy ego, our ambitions. It's where we want to be known. It's where we want to be seen. And there's an element of taking the lead or being a leader or being seen as, like a leader in this card. So whether it's a promotion to leadership or, winning out over some other known names or recognizable names, it's that kind of vibe with this card. Finally, we have the Hierophant, which is the card of knowledge, wisdom, not unlike, what we were talking about over here with Kanaz. This is the card of higher wisdom, of the expert. So whether you are the teacher or you're going back for more education, whether it's traditional education, like getting your GED or going back to college for an advanced degree, or just going back to get a license or something like that. In a traditional school, it could be along those lines. It could be a non-traditional degree like getting tarot certification or Reiki or flamenco dancing, whatever it is. It could be something along those lines. Or you could be the teacher. You could be sharing your wisdom in either of those environments. But again, it's whether you're teaching or learning, it's being a part of a community of like-minded individuals where learning or teaching brings you into an environment where you're making more connections with other folks who are excited about the same kinds of things that excite you. So, Sagittarius, I'm going to leave it there. Even though it's a month of, a little death, it's exciting change and you are super ready for it, and it's going to be super exciting for you. I hope you love this reading. It seems right up your alley. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll consider leaving a like, share it, subscribe. It's free in any case. Please take care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now. Capricorn, hello. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, Manaz. Love this one. Okay. And the message from your animal spirit guide. Oh my goodness, both the candles just went out. Kiwi. I'm so sorry. We're just going to let those candles ride because we got some good cards here. Your tarot. Ooh, Three of Cups. The Star. Yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt this flow to relight those candles because we got some good cards here. Okay, so Menas is about the self within the community, right? So it's kind of about knowing who you are and connecting with the community. There's kind of a sense of finding those boundaries between what you owe the community and what the community or what being part of a community means to you. So that can show up as participating more in group events or going to parties, maybe because it's summer here in where I'm doing this reading. I'm in Los Angeles, so it's the northern hemisphere. It's actually summer solstice as I do this reading. So certainly for those of us in the northern hemisphere, this is time for picnics and barbecues and summer cookouts and family reunions, summer family reunions and stuff like that. It's also a FIFA time here. So there's a lot of, being in, large groups and stuff. And so participating in group events and like that. So kind of finding how you belong in community and, also finding your boundaries, being yourself, but also finding those boundaries. Sometimes that means saying yes. Sometimes that means saying no. Sometimes that means being true to yourself. Sometimes that means altruism. So, take that as it fits in your world. Now, the animal spirit message here is do a walking meditation each day for the next week. Now, only take that advice if your doctor would support it, obviously. I wouldn't do a walking meditation if your knees don't allow for it. But obviously there could be some healing or some messages that come along with that kind of a meditation for you. So take it as your doctor would approve. All right, let's get to your tarot now, because this is really cool. We have the Page of Swords, which is a messenger with a message about messages. The Suit of Swords is all about ideas, thoughts, opinions, branding, our philosophies, how we share ourselves. That coincides nicely with this sort of boundary piece, right? Who we are within our communities. Because one place we can be a community is not just live and in person, but also in our online communities, how we express ourselves online. So the Page of Swords in these modern times can sometimes indicate a phase of social media and branding and maybe launching a new channel or a new way of expressing ourselves online, or sharing our business, or teaching a class, or just learning how to use social media better. It can be how we are more authentic or learn to be more authentic online. It kind of depends on how you have been online, if that makes sense for you. Generationally, it can be different. I am Gen X. I don't love social media in that way that some people of my generation don't need it the way some other generations use it. So I really have to consciously try, like you can even tell with my channel, like I really struggle to put out content in a regular way. I'm trying to be better, you guys. I'm trying. But yeah. So generationally, this can maybe even have different meanings for different generations, right? But so how you express yourself on social media can be one way the Page of Swords plays out. It can be a messenger with an invitation to you. You could have put out, like a resume or a post online that someone responds to. That could be another way that then maybe you're collaborating with someone, or maybe you go on a job interview or something along those lines. So take it as it resonates for you. But because we have these messages here about how you connect with others, it does seem to be more about that, how you connect and communicate with others, how you modify your boundaries, or maybe tighten your boundaries, or clarify your boundaries in the next month. So see how that makes sense. Now we have another card here about parties. The Three of Cups is very much about communing with your friends and loved ones. You can tell it right in the artwork there, right? These gals are out for a good time. And no matter your gender or gender expression, the Three of Cups is about celebrating and not even really needing a reason. There is kind of the hint of a harvest around here, but that's not necessary. There isn't a need for a harvest or a reason here. It's really because the Cups is about your connections and connecting with others. It really is about being with your friends, your loved ones, your family, even like your improv team, or your colleagues, co-workers, making new friends. This can even be about going out on dates. This doesn't necessarily indicate a particularly strong attraction. It can be going on casual dates, the casual dating thing. So if that makes sense for where you're at in kind of your life, your world, it could be that sort of thing. Just testing the waters, as it were, or getting to know a bunch of different people, the sort of the beginning stages of the getting back in the dating world. Now, we love this. The Star is all about healing, clarity, and getting back to who you are and what you want in life. The Star is typically regaining direction and clarity. So it could be something like taking a trip with the family or with your friends, even yourself, and recentering, gaining purpose, getting clear on what you want in the next phase of your life. Healing does that for you, right? Sometimes being in nature is healing. Sometimes partying and dancing and being with people does that for some folks. Whatever it is, this is kind of that recentering, reaffirming, getting back to purpose. For some folks for whom it makes sense, this might actually be something in the public eye, right? Because, Star also means, like a video could go public, or if you're a performer, like a musician or an actor or something like that, something you're involved with could go public. So take that if that makes sense for you. But for most folks, this is really about healing and centering and refocusing and getting clear on direction and the next chapter. Now, what's something to be mindful here is this last card, the Four of Cups. Our central figure in this last card does not look like a happy character. He's got three sort of spent cups that he doesn't look very happy about. He looks kind of dissatisfied, right? But the thing is, he is not looking in the right direction. There's this awesome magical cup right behind him that has this wonderful goodness, sort of like the stars that are over in this other happy card. And if he would just turn a little bit, he would see there's this wonderful thing that life has on offer for him. So one way of interpreting this card is there's something on offer right in this fellow's neighborhood that he just isn't seeing that could fulfill him, right? Whether he's choosing not to see it or not to recognize it, or if he doesn't think that thing would fulfill him, so he doesn't want to try it, who knows? But the idea is that there is either something existing in your world or very soon to be on offer you might not recognize, that could be like the next level. We go from 3 of Cups to 4 of Cups. That could be the next level for you that you might miss because it doesn't come in the shape or in the cup or in the volume that you were expecting. So near the end of the month, be on the lookout, be available, say yes to something that maybe might not be in the package or the volume or in the area that you expected it to come from, because there's something wonderful that's about to be on offer that you just could miss because it wasn't dressed up the way you expected it. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there for you. I hope this has been helpful. If so, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. It's free. In any case, take good care. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Aquarius. Let's grab your rune card. Ooh, okay. Capricorn just got the same one. You guys are twinning. Okay, let's grab the message from your animal spirit. Ooh. Capricorn did not get this one. This is all you. Polar bear. Okay, let's grab your tarot. All right. Ooh, lovers. Ace of Swords. 5 of Cups. Knight of Cups. Okay. So your rune card is Manaz. That's the self, but it's kind of the self within community. So in order to sort of understand yourself, maybe this sounds crazy, but it's putting yourself in community to understand yourself. It's firming up your boundaries by being around other people, right? So there's a piece here about what do you owe the community? What does the community owe to you? There's themes of altruism here. Also themes of being able to say no, no thank you, not yet, to firm up those boundaries. What do I owe to the community? What do I not owe to the community? What maybe does the community owe to me? Where are kind of my lines? You get what I'm saying? Like, where you define yourself by like where you say no to the community, right? There are some ways that we really need to pitch in, and there are some ways that we really just need to owe ourselves to ourselves. So there may be themes here of, because Aquarians can be very much givers. Aquarians are the most sort of populated employees. Populate, I don't know if that's not the right word, but there are a lot of Aquarians in nonprofit organizations. Aquarians are most likely to be employed in nonprofit organizations. It's just how they roll, right? So there's this very much this altruistic spirit with Aquarians, right? But at a certain point, you have to know where to say, nope, here's where I draw the line. Here's where I have to stick up for me. And look at this. Over here in your animal spirit message, we have Polar Bear, who's suggesting that you stand up for yourself and speak your truth respectfully and compassionately with no attachment to outcome. So it's okay. Polar Bear says it's okay for you to stick up for yourself. It's okay for you to speak your truth. It's okay for you to be you. And somebody else may like it. Somebody else may not get it. That's fine. You know, what they think about you is none of your business, as RuPaul says. Or RuPaul says something along those lines. But so there's that. All right, moving on to your tarot. Your main theme for July is the Knight of Cups. This is fun. So the Knight of Cups is a messenger that requires a response. I read knights as messengers that require action on your part. So they come in with an invitation or a message or news, and you have to act on it. You have to do something. You don't have to do what they want you to do, but you have to do, there's something in the news that they bring or the invitation that requires you to do something for you. So the Suit of Cups is in the area of love, relationships, emotional satisfaction, connections, feeling connected. Sometimes it can have to do with our, let's call it our addictions, our emotional entrapments, the ways we deal maybe unhealthfully with our emotional life, therapy, and it can be that world. But when things are going great, when we're real healthy, it's about our emotional attachments and our bonds to family and friends and lovers. So for anybody single and actively pursuing relationships, this is an excellent omen. This could be invitations and dates coming in, or at least invitations that you can accept or not, like that. For others, this can be invitations to collaborate artistically, or invitations to therapy, or for groups, like if you're pursuing your emotional health, or pursuing, if you have any, if you're pursuing group health, what would you call it, like a 12-step group situations. It could be invitations where you can receive help in that way. It could be a new therapist, something like that. So take it as it resonates for you, Aquarius, but in any case, it's about an invitation to connect in the ways that you can choose to accept, that can enrich your lives, or you can practice, setting boundaries. So take it as, it makes sense in your world. But in the next card, supporting card here, we have the Lovers, which is about the choices we make in our connections. And of course, One of the choices we can make is in the lovers that we choose, romantic lovers. This is very often what is associated with this card. It doesn't have to be. It can be business partners or, even platonic. It can be stretched that way because it really is ultimately about who we choose to associate with kind of affects who we end up being. And again, we come back to this, who we are in our community reflects who we are as ourselves, right? The choices we make with who we associate with affect, our personality. For example, if you run with the kids in high school who are smoking dope and, not doing their homework, you're not likely to get into the college prep classes or the college prep and, those go to college. But if you're hanging with the kids that do the prayer circles and go to church on Sundays and, get into the college prep classes and go to the after school activities, you're likely to go to a Christian school and maybe you'll go into to a pastor college or something. That's one path, and then all of a sudden you're in this, who we associate with can determine, you get what I'm saying. So this can be romantic. You might be making choices like on dating apps, for one example. It could be in a job situation. There could be a job that has really great benefits, but tends to have a lot of extra overtime and would require you to be at work late hours or something like that, or another job that doesn't pay very well and doesn't have great benefits, but you would be able to be home early enough to make your kids dinner every night. The lovers can speak to in terms of affecting who you are, also affects who you are in community. All right, I've belabored that long enough. Now let's go to the Ace of Swords, which is a new chapter in terms of communication. So how you might be talking about yourself or sharing yourself or branding yourself might be changing as you're deciding to make different choices in terms of relationships or jobs or whatever this might be. How you share pictures on social media may be changing, or launching a new channel, a social media channel, or launching a project on social media could be something along those lines. Take it as it resonates for you, Aquarius. It could be really different for different folks depending on what you've got going in your backstory. And certainly generationally, we all use social media a little bit differently. Some of us were raised with it. Some of us were not. Like, for example, as a Gen X person who does not love social media, I am not as well skilled at it. I just don't care for it. Like, I get it. I just don't want to be as available as other generations do. And I mean, you can even see that from my channel. As I was telling another sign, I really struggle to be as available as some generations are. But, with practice, maybe that's something you're working on. Or for some Aquarians, this could be starting work on the great American novel, because swords are all about writing, philosophies, communication, ideas, social media, branding. So it's a new chapter in kind of one of those sub areas. Take it as it resonates for you. But it is something that excites you, something that is blessed. So whatever you put sort of your attention to is when this comes up is something that gets sort of starred support. Finally, we end with the Five of Cups, which looks like a sort of sad card to end on here. But it's really a card where the central character is kind of focusing on a loss instead of focusing on a win. This card suggests that there is a couple or a connection that she's not looking at. For some reason, she's focusing on something in front of her instead of turning around and looking at what she has. So there is a moment here, maybe near the end of the month, where maybe there's a miscommunication or a misunderstanding or something that she thinks that she has lost when really the thing she wants is right behind her. So this could be a Mercury retrograde misunderstanding, or this could be focusing on something from the past or believing in something that she used to have is going to happen again when what she really wants is not where she's looking. So no matter your gender or what you're looking for, there's a connection that is within reach that you are not allowing because you're focusing in the wrong area. So maybe reread an email or turn around or be more open for something in the general community or the general area. And maybe you turn around, take a breath, release this past thing or whatever you think you have lost, because the thing that you want is so super close to you. Aquarius, I hope that is helpful for you. It actually looks like a really lovely month as long as you stay open to something that's so close to you. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful. If so, I invite you to like, share this video, subscribe. It's free. In any case, please take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now. Hello, Pisces. Let's grab your rune. Ooh, cool. I love this one. Kanaz. Okay, and the message from your animal spirits. Oh my gosh. Okay, gorilla. Okay. Okay. I don't think I've ever gotten gorilla before. Ooh. Ace of Wands, Moon, Knight of Wands, Ace of Cups. Ooh, okay. Okay, Pisces. So, Kanaz, that's this rune, is about initiation. It's about the fire of inspiration. I am using the rune cards by, I think it's Ralph Bloom or Robert Bloom. Eek. I wish I had the book right in front of me. But he calls this opening, and that's one way to think of it, but I think of it more as like inspiration. This is the fire of inspiration. it's kind of like when you're getting really involved in like a subject matter that you're super stoked about, and you can't stop learning about it. You can't stop like buying books about it or looking it up on YouTube. You can't stop talking about it. You're super into it. Maybe you go to college for it. Maybe you get an advanced degree in it. You talk about it all the time. You want to surround yourself with people who are into it too. It's kind of like those people who are into improv. I know I talk about improv on this channel all the time. I used to do improv all the time. That's why. This is like improv for me. If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, you know I talk about improv all the time. But it's like those annoying people that talk about improv all the time. It's like being fired up about something that maybe other people don't get or don't love or don't understand. Some people are like Legos. You know, some people who like Legos can be about that, or Star Wars, or like that thing that you love that maybe not everybody gets, that you can't stop talking about. It's that, right? It's being fired up about it. So the fact that this shows up for you means you get to do the thing or have the month where that thing that you love happens, or you get to share it, you get to do it, you get to deal with it, you get to have it. So like, if you're one of those improv nerds, like maybe you get to do your improv that month. You get an improv gig, or you and your team, you get your improv gig, or if you're a Lego nerd, maybe you get that awesome Lego set that was super on sale. You can't even believe how on sale you get that set for, or whatever it is. Whatever you're on fire for, you get to experience it, go deeper, you get to be on fire for it even more. Does that make sense? I don't know anybody. I just associate with people who are on fire for stuff. I know there are people who aren't on fire for things. I don't know what life like that is like. So I hope that makes sense for you. Whatever you might be on fire for, you get to deal with that. You get to be super stoked about that thing and deal with that thing, or have an interaction with that thing. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Gorilla. Oh my God, do we love this? I mean, just the idea of gorilla coming up, how much do we love this? The message from this animal spirit guide is take the time to listen compassionately to those you love, especially your family members, because of course gorilla is all about family. That's their deal. Like, they're known for their social groups, their family. It's all about family, right? They're super social creatures. So this is about being social and about being with family. So maybe there's a family reunion. Maybe your dad has advice for you. And we're not all blessed with family. Sometimes family doesn't approve of our choices, and we have, chosen family, right? So if that's your situation, it's your chosen family. It's your dad by choice. It's your sister from another mister. Take it as it resonates for you. Okay, moving on to the tarot. Ace of Cups. This is kind of another octave of the being stoked about something. First of all, aces are new beginnings, new chapters, and you have two of them. So there's two new chapters, two new beginnings, two areas of your life where you are starting something new, maybe a new project, a new phase, a new beginning, a new fresh start, a new slate. Now, cups are often the area of relationships, connections, our emotional life. Sometimes they can be about therapy or emotional health. So if that's your situation, if you're looking for assistance with your emotional health or guidance, it could be starting therapy or joining a 12-step group. And if so, I support you wholeheartedly. totally legit, totally a good way to use this energy, totally supported. But for a lot of Pisces, this could be a new romantic relationship. It could be, or healing family stuff. If you've been depending on chosen family, maybe this is the time where you go back to the not so healthy family stuff and try to heal some of that stuff. And maybe, going to therapy to try, that could be that. Another way Ace of Cups can show up is through artistic endeavors. Not always, but that can be one way it is used. A lot of folks, though, will use the cups as kind of their primary mojo, if you will, for romantic energy. So, if that is you, if you're single and looking, or if your relationships need a little more, your romantic relationships need a little more zhuzh, here we go. July is a good time to make sort of conscious effort to get back on those dating apps, or get out there, maybe go to some singles events in your area, ask out that cute coworker or that cute guy at your improv school, whatever your situation is. So there we have it. But when aces come up, they suggest that the effort put into this sort of area is starred. It's blessed. There's kind of, extra juju, mojo, yay, yummy energy put here. So go for it. Now, another place we have extra yay energy, extra star blessings, is over here with the Ace of Wands. As we discussed, it's another sort of portal, new beginning, fresh slate, fresh start. And wands are in the area of often like our ambitions, sort of our career area, the thing we want to be known for, usually like our good ego stuff. It can be for some folks who are into sports and athleticism. This could be that. If you do like competitive sports or dance team or anything, it can be associated with that. For some people, this is their creative mojo. This can be emotional stuff. Well, this can be creative, like acting, improvising, painting, writing. For some people, more performing arts kind of, or photography even, that sort of thing. Take it as it resonates for you, but whatever, the essence of this is like what you want to be known for, what you want your legacy to be, what you want, when somebody says your name, if you want to be known for something, how you want to be known, whatever that is, even if you want to be known as like the best police officer in your hometown, or, the great mom, that's legit, right? So it could be that, whatever, like your sort of ambition in life, your passion, that's, this is covered over here. So a new fresh slate or a new chapter, a new cycle in this area, starved, blessed. Here we go. Now, what's interesting is we have the moon. I am of kind of two minds about the moon, because the traditional sort of tarot interpretation of the moon is that it's this instinctual, wounded, kind of animalistic, not wholly evolved part of us. But for so many of us, it's the part we can use for arts. So many of us, or at least a lot of people who vibe with what I put out, are artists, right? So we can use this sort of instinctual shadow piece in our arts. So much of my lesser evolved part is the broken child, inner wounded, you know, side that is desperate to be heard, that I use in some of my improv characters or whatever that other artists use. Also, anyone who is doing their therapy, healing, needing to get in touch with the family can use this shadow side, unevolved, hurt, wounded piece in their therapy, in their healing. The moon is kind of like a time. The moon card does indicate a time to use the shadow, unevolved side, the wounded side, to get better, to be healed. Use it in your art to release that, to evolve it, to understand it better, to work with it, right? For anyone who isn't an artist, this can just be a time to slow down, to understand that maybe there aren't direct conscious workings right now. Certainly with Mercury going retrograde, we don't have clear, we don't have access to clarity anyway with Mercury going retrograde. This is a time to be slow and cautious and wait for the sun to come out maybe in August, because the moon can indicate a time when there is a lack of clarity and more emotions coming up. Again, that can be helpful with our art or therapy or connecting with others in a really vulnerable way, but not a great time for decision making, for planning our financial progress or package, that sort of thing. But we do love the moon for romantic sort of endeavors, artistic endeavors, like that. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Finally, we have the Knight of Wands. Knights are my cards of messengers that bring an invitation, that require you to take an action. You don't have to do what the Knight asks you to do, but the Knight brings you something that you have to make some sort of action on or do something with. So this could be an invitation, like somebody wants to go out with you. You do have to respond to them in some way. But this could also be a job interview in that area or that field, like comedy or something. Or it could be, depending on where you're at in your life, Pisces, a job interview, a sibling might want to travel to somewhere exciting. This could be a kind of an adventure to part of the world you always wanted to go to, something like that. But there is an inquiry or an invitation or an audition, something along those lines that's really exciting here. And you're probably going to want to say yes. You're probably going to want to go for it. You're probably going to want to run with it. I mean, look at her. This looks like an absolute yes. We also have a directional cue. Like whatever this is probably leading you into the rest of the summer and the rest of, maybe even the rest of the year. So Pisces, it looks really positive. And even though the moon can traditionally be a card of kind of heavy feelings or the shadow side or murkiness. The moon is also your card. It can be associated with Pisces. So you're really comfortable there. It's not scary to you. And many of you will be able to use its energy beneficially. It can also be a spiritual time. So take that all as it resonates with you. We really have a couple of portals opening up for you. Some stuff you're going to be really excited to be able to use, talk about, think about, share, and some kind of adventure near the end of the month that could lead you into the rest of the summer or the rest of the year. So it looks really exciting. I'm going to leave it there for you, Pisces. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful. If so, I invite you to like, share, subscribe. It's free. In any case, take good care of yourself. Until next time, bye for now.